Welcome to the Andrea Giovino Show. Thank you for all the subscribers. Thank you, Jesus, for giving me this platform, and I'm going to jump right into it. Today we're going to talk about death in prison. I have back my friend George Martorano, and George knows firsthand on how that comes about. George.
Well, hi, everybody. Thank you, Andrea. You know, you're dear to me, and if I have to fly across the country to do your show, I will do it. I'm George Martorano. I did 32 plus years in prison, all the worst prisons, and I've seen more death with male prisoners than you can imagine. And we could start by saying when you're in prison and you're terminal, they have a policy that if you're ill and you miss so many meals, okay, all these prisons, federal prisons, they have a contract, usually within a short distance from the prison, with a clinic, not a hospital, some clinic, some obscure country clinic, okay, and that's where they're going to put you. It's going to be where they put you to you die. So what they do is always they ask you if you're left-handed, if you're right-handed. If you're right-handed, they'll handcuff your left hand to the bed, and they always handcuff one of your ankles to the bed.
What I wanted to do this show about is, as you know, my dear friend for 40 years, Mark Ryder, terminally ill with cancer. And just inhumane of how he's
I know just what he's going to go through, this poor soul. Now he can be a man that does not go to the chow hall. Okay, I didn't go to chow hall for 15 years. I ate out of the same bowl for 15 years, but they'll clock him that he hasn't took a meal out of the chow hall.
No, he hasn't been able to eat.
Right, but they go by policy. Okay, they go by policy. He's going to miss X amount of meals. I think if you miss, I don't know, X amount of meals, 5-6 days times three.
He told me when I spoke to him last night he can't eat. He can't eat, but they've been giving him those shakes, drinks.
Yeah, but they don't go by that. Mm-hmm. They go by the policy that this guy, they're going to have the guards and his unit manager clock. They're going to have he's being documented.
Oh, yeah, because they already diagnosed.
And they're going to say he hasn't gone to the chow hole. Mm-hmm. That means he cannot function. So what they're going to do, they usually do it in the middle of the night so it doesn't cause a problem on the cell block. They're going to come with cops in the middle of the night, guard, we call them cops, middle of the night, and they're going to put him if you can't walk, they're going to put him in a stretcher, and they're going to take him to a clinic, not a hospital, some medical clinic, usually near the prison, could be 5, 6, 10 miles, and they're going to stick him in some medical room, supposedly medical room, and they're not even going to have a doctor look at him because then it can get into a lawsuit. Okay, so they're going to and 2 guards are sitting there with him.
The thing I don't understand, for any inmate getting to that point, let him home. Let him go be with his family. Let him have those days or that week.
Usually, let's say 10 prisoners like that, okay, 10 prisoners, 8 out of 10 are going to die like that. 8 out of 10.
Why don't they let them home? That's what I don't understand. He's 76 years old.
They have an inhumane policy. It's just that, the judge.
He's not hurting anybody.
Yes, I agree, but he can't. He's so weak.
But the point is, that's like, how do you treat another human being? He can't hurt anyone. Let him go be with his family.
This has been going on since the Bureau of Prisons been established in 1936. This has been going on.
It hasn't changed, though.
Nothing. They have a policy that the way you're going to die, you're going to die. Now, they might, it's 5 out of 10 times, they might let one relatives come and see him, but usually they don't. Once he's got at that stage, the warden basically washed his hands with the situation.
I don't know why the judge can't just sign a paper to say.
It's already passed that. Once the judge denied his compassionate release, that's it. court is done. The court is done. And the family has to know, usually the men in the family has to know this is the way you're going to go. This is no ifs, ands, or buts.
It's just very
John
sad.
Gotti, when he went, nobody dies in prison, Andrea. Remember that. No one dies in prison. The documents will show that he died en route or he died somewhere, like in a clinic. But if he died in prison, if he physically died in prison, his paperwork will never show he died in prison for the lawsuit. I was in prison 32 plus years, and I've been through this many, many times. No one dies in prison. They have, they have a method to their madness. You're a prisoner. A prisoner, when you got a number on your shirt, you're the bottom of the totem pole in American society.
I know, but the way things have changed with the drug laws and everything and nonviolent offenders and not keeping them incarcerated for years and all of that, you're saying this has been implemented since 1936.
Yes.
There should be some type of change. We are human beings. This man is not a threat, or any of them, to that stage.
They do not look at it like that because the court wrote him off to die. Court wrote him off to die, and it's so sad. But I'd like to talk about a program that I designed for this. Close friends of mine. One guy was named Tootie. I'll give him his nickname. Good, very close with me. He was dying, and we went to the cell. She says, "Georgie, don't let me die like that. Do not let me die like that." I says, "All right." So what I did is I designed. When there's always two to a cell. So I made sure I put a right guy in the cell that's going to listen to what I tell him to do. Now, when you're ill, you have a medical, you have a steel door and there's a magnet, bang, that sticks on your door, says you do a medical count. Medical count means, now when you count in prison, we have millions in prison, of course, America, state or fed. 4 o'clock in any time zone, you have to stand up and be counted. You have to stand up.
Right.
But if you got that tag on your door in a federal prison, you just have to sit up.
Okay.
So I would get a guy that I trust, put it in with my friend that's dying, and I said, make sure you sit him up during count. Now he gets close to dying. He's going to die, okay? And then at night, he knows he's going to go. At night, I would switch that guy into my cell, and I would go into that cell. And
why?
if they caught me doing that, I go to the hole. And
what's the purpose of that?
3 times in the course of my 32 plus years incarcerated, I held them in my arms till they died.
That's
because
so
I want
sad.
them to die with dignity.
That's what I don't want. That's what was upsetting me so much. He's going to be dying by himself.
That's just the way he's
It's
going to
so
go.
sad.
Just the way he's going to go. And these cops, guards sitting in there with them, they're changed. 2 days could be the same cops. And
You don't know. They're constantly coming and
They're just
going.
there to get their pay.
Right.
Okay.
There's
and
no
make sure no one's trying to bust you out. The guy can't escape. He can't get up out of the bed.
There's no
You're handcuffed.
compassion.
That
As for
is
another
the way
human
it's
being.
been since 1936, ladies and gentlemen. I lived it. I experienced it. I set this whole program up. It was clandestine. If I got caught doing it, I would have went to the hole, possibly shipped. But I made 2 close friends die in my arms. And let me tell you something about death, Adrian. I don't wish anybody to smell the last breath of somebody, but I had. And let me tell you something. The last breath of these individuals was sweet. Sweet.
I don't know what you mean.
So I made them die with dignity.
Oh, okay.
I made them die with dignity. And I set up this whole program. And I had it. I'd done it 3 times. And thus, they're going to go to this clinic. They're leg ironed. And their wrists are chained. Their leg irons
But imagine, you've witnessed it. I lay in bed at night and it breaks my heart. Literally, I've called you about it. It breaks my heart about Mark. It breaks my heart to, when he calls me, he doesn't have the strength. He never would tell me not to come up. Never. He always wanted the visit from me.
Right.
He said, I don't want you to come. Because he didn't want me to see him like that. And then it's exactly what you told me.
Well, these lengthy sentences, after 1987, a new law, you had to do 85%. So you're not going anywhere. These lengthy sentences, you're going to.
He doesn't have the strength to even get up to go to the visiting room.
Times at any given day, there's close to there's over 200,000 federal prisoners. I used to have the numbers. I don't have the numbers anymore, but this is done every day at different institutions. You know, you get these lengthy sentences. You're not going anywhere. You get old, you get ill, and they die. I say in the course of a year around the country in the federal prisons, this could be 1,000 times.
But imagine, like I'm saying, like, you know, you've witnessed it. I have not seen it. I only hear it. And you don't feel good as it is in your home, say in your house. Imagine, I want the audience to imagine you're in a prison cell with stage 4 cancer, terminally ill, on that bed with.
Well, you know,
like,
these people, decision making
there's
factors.
no comfort.
If the prosecutor does not go along with the whole situation, the judge usually denies it. It's political and it's terrible.
Yeah, the government denied it, so I don't think the judge is
it was all politically done. But do they care about the union life? Do they care about this poor soul dying? You know, I knew Mark. I heard of Mark. He's a man's man.
You've talked to Mark recently.
He's a man's man, ladies and gentlemen. But you still have to die with some dignity. Dying like that is no dignity. You're in a room with strangers, and these guards are talking about sports. They're watching TV.
And exactly
about sports. They go order food. They're eating food. They're eating McDonald's in front of you. You can't eat, and you're dying. I mean, it's just terrible, terrible situation.
It's horrible, and that's really what I wanted to talk about today and let the audience.
Well, like
really
I said,
know.
I designed a clandestine program with 3 times in my tenure of incarceration. I made 3 individuals die with dignity in my arms, and I could have went to the hole and got shipped.
God bless
but
you.
I had the right guy. Count time. He would go in my cell, and I would go in his cell. Okay.
And it's just so sad.
I wait after count. I'll make sure guard's going to count you at 12 o'clock. So I made sure my back was turned. All I look at is these 2 bodies in there.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure. So I did that. And I didn't care about getting shipped or going to hole. I just wanted my friends to die with dignity. And I did that 3 times. And they begged me. They used to say, Georgie, don't let me die like that. Don't let me go to some obscure clinic.
I hope and pray Mark has some friend in there to do that for him.
No, they're going to take him where he don't know anybody.
They already told him that. He told me last night they said that they were going to take him to somewhere.
They ain't taking him nowhere. I had a surgery, hernia surgery. I forget what. I've been in so many prisons, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I lost count. So the bus, there was about 15 of us on the bus, and we all going for some kind of surgery. So we go there, and you pull up, and there's all these guards, and they assign 2 guards to you, and they take you into this clinic, okay, and you have these just curtains that separate your beds, and the 2 guards are right in there with you. I'm chained to the bed, and the first medical person you see is the anesthesiologist. And you go through that, and then they dope you up and bring you into the clinic, okay? And then you'll get woke up. And normally, any kind of invasive surgery, and they don't do laser surgery. They cut me with a scalpel, which was not done in 20 years.
Oh, my God.
They didn't use a scalpel for that surgery in 20 years. So you wake up, and you only have a certain amount of time because they're going to put you back on a bus. Now, when we left the prison, you're sitting in the bus, okay? Andrew, my right-handed guy, going back to the prison looked like the empty bus because we were all out. We were all in pain.
Yeah,
all laying in our seats.
How do you do that?
So then you pull up to the prison. Now you got to walk after.
How?
Imagine abdomen surgery. You got to walk maybe 200 yards.
But how?
To your cell
when you're
block.
all with that anesthesia in you.
Now, the policy is you have to go back, walk to the medical department. They give you a quick check, and then you go to the cell block. But I knew this procedure. I told them, frig you. I'm not going to I'm going to my cell block. And it just so happens I lived on an upper level of the cell block. And you got to go up these 2 long stairs. But my buddy seen me coming across the I'm like, hardly can walk. I just had
Surgery.
stitches all, and my buddies see me, and they're banging on the windows, and they actually made a chair with their hands and carried me to the cell. Now, in the cell, you have to walk another 200 yards to get your pain medicine.
Right.
I couldn't walk. You're a woman. I couldn't tell you
Right.
my condition of my lower parts that they were. I couldn't even make it to get the painkiller.
Wow.
But I'm smart enough to know that, and I told my buddies, make sure I have Motrin. So they had a big bottle of Motrin in the cell. I said, make sure you have something I can drink. Make sure you had hard candies. That's how I lived for 3 days.
That's why
I can finally move.
I wanted to.
And I wasn't dying. So
Right.
imagine poor Mark. Love this guy. Respect this guy. He's a legend.
He's a legend. He's a
in New York.
man's
He's a
man.
man's man.
I love him. He's my friend.
Well, this is how he's going to pass. And as you know, we've been talking to the son, Michael, trying to understand that. And I told him, last time I told Michael, I said, Michael, you got to understand, make your mother emotionally comfortable. This is what's going to happen. There's no ifs, ands,
Michael
and buts.
knows. Michael's been the rock
This is
of the
gonna happen.
family.
I mean, like I said, okay, you want him to let him go home. You could put a guard in this.
I was just
in the
hoping he
home.
could have went home for a week, just so they can have him
Not
home
happening.
and
It's
die
been
in
going
their
on
arms.
since 1936. The Bureau of Prisons was established in 1936. Okay, when they opened up Alcatraz, they had to have a bureau overseeing it.
People love Mark. They love him.
And that's when the Bureau of Prisons was established.
I mean, I've seen when I've visited him in the visiting room. They love him. People love him.
Well, we're with someone like you, you're going to at least let him live to be remembered.
I'm going to make his name be remembered. He's a man's
and
man.
like I
I
said,
don't want.
We want society to know. We want the world to know it's inhumane.
Right.
the
It's
way they're making
inhumane.
this man die. And like it, ladies and gentlemen, I said this before on Andrea's show. Prisons is not a guy thing. There's women they do this to.
Yeah.
There's mothers.
It's terrible.
There's grandmothers they do this to.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
There's no reason to do it. There's no reason to do it because it's a cost. Federal Bureau of Prisons has to pay for this. To make you die in a clinic. They got to pay. Isn't it better to send you home?
Right.
What they don't have to pay for? It's just terrible. It's terrible. And I hope in my lifetime, hopefully I can make some changes. Because it doesn't
It's
make
just
sense.
not. Well, we're going to close out. And thank you for tuning in. And to all my subscribers, guests, this was a topic that was so near and close to us. I want you to understand that it's a very, very dear friend of mine. And to hear this and to know this and hear the pain of the family is heart-wrenching. Thank you for tuning in. Stay out of prison because this is what you'll expect. Don't go to
listen.
prison.
I'm out of prison a few short years, and I'm not going back. If I want to die, I want to die home.
Thank you, Jesus, for tuning in.
Thank
and
you,
we
ladies
will
and
see you
gentlemen.
next time.